This video is aimed at anyone who wants to learn more about how to display their Smart Notebook presentations to students. First of all, let's talk about full screen mode. I'm currently in full screen mode, which means that my students can see this whole page filling the entire IWB screen. By pressing down here on my miniature toolbar, I have a little toolbar here, I can exit full screen. You can see I'm in Smart Notebook. I've got my toolbar at the top, my panel on the left. To enter view modes, I press here where it says View Screens, and I go back to full screen. To exit out of this, I can press this button where it says Exit Full Screen, or I can press Escape. Whilst in full screen mode, I still have my navigation options with the two arrows left and right, so I can press right, go to my next slide. You have two options when you're displaying your screens to your students. You can either go landscape or portrait. At this point in time, we can't really see a big difference, can we, between my landscape and my portrait? But if I go to my next slide, I can better demonstrate it. So with landscape, we have a nice view of all the details of the picture here, and it's filling up the whole screen. But the problem is, we can't see my portrait picture. My portrait picture is a bit too big, it's a bit too tall. So on my toolbar, I can press here where it says Entire Page, and it will now show you the entire page from top to bottom, showing you the entire page height, like so. So the students can see both pictures. However, we have lost a little bit of the detail. We can't view it as closely as we could before. If I press this button now, it's changed to page width, and it will return me here, so we can look at the page width again. To see this in a teaching context, have a look at this. This is a listening exercise. It's a gap fill exercise. As an example, and I want the students to be able to see everything, but they can't see everything from 1 to 10 very easily, or they can just about, but we lose the question. So I don't want to make this any smaller in case students at the back can't see it, so I'm going to go ahead and go to View Entire Page. Now they can see everything much more clearly. And then I can go back to page width. Here, for this listening task, I've got a nice little picture and I don't really want to make it much smaller, and I think my text is big enough for the students to see, so it's not really necessary to go to View Entire Page from height. And I can also do a little bit of writing at the bottom, so I've actually got a little bit of extra space here, and I think I'm quite happy with View Entire Page width. Now I'd like you to imagine that I were teaching an IELTS group, and this was my lesson aim. Students will be better able to use USTA to describe which past activities they regularly did when they were school age. Now, imagine after 60 minutes of warmer grammar presentation, controlled practice and pronunciation, we arrive at the final speaking practice, a Part 2 IELTS speaking. I'd like to show you the example. Here's my example. Describe a typical day in your life when you were a child. Now, during my lesson, at some point, I managed to get some notes up on the board. Here are my notes. This could have been from, I don't know, a pronunciation drill or some kind of brainstorm. And I want the students to be able to look at these notes at the same time as the speaking exercise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit full screen, go back to my screen choice modes, and go to dual page display. Then back to full screen. And now students can see the notes from the previous slide, as well as the speaking task that I want them to complete. I'm sure you can imagine lots of different applications for this dual page display. Oops. I'm going to go back to single page mode. So we've got a choice: dual page display or single page display. Okay, so if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask either Adam G or Adam T. We are both very happy to help.